All right, so it's barely 24 hours to the commencement of the election petition tribunal in Abuja for the presidential election that was supposedly conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission. I'm scared, and then I feel like an hypocrite going ahead to saying independent, because it's actually not independent. But yes, though Peter Obi and the Labour Party, as well as Atiku Abubakar and the PDP, has to be the one to put their case forward and tell the court or the tribunal why they think that Bola Tinubu did not win the election, and why they think the election was marred with irregularities and rigging and all that. But guess who has come to roast? It is the APC that is now having the most embarrassing moment of themselves. Several documents, several information, several videos are now flying out, even from the APC, that seemingly looks like there is a problem, right? There's a problem. Of course, you should have remembered by now that there are several things now in the public place. Most recent of them all is the fact that Professor Yemi Osinbajo, a card-carrying member of the APC and the current vice president of this country, has, I don't know how, thought it wise this particular period to releasing his autobiography. First, to remind all these other boys of Tinubu that he has been there, and he has not just been a boy, but he has been a major stakeholder in the business of governance or leadership of the Asiwaju. As I talk to you, his autobiography, reading in part, indicate that the man has even gone ahead to explain it very quite unrelated circumstance that you think, why would you put that in a book and release it this period? Some of which was the 2007 general elections, where he said that the Asiwaju himself called him up on how they will use forensic analysis to winning their case in the tribunal. Coincidentally, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu is refusing with the INEC, refusing forensic analysis, forensic detailing of the current election that they said they won. There's an excerpt from that video that you need to see.
It happened after the 2007 general election. Tinubu and co were in the ACN then, and this was during the Maurice Iwu era. Prior to this year's presidential election, the 2007 presidential election was referred to as the worst election in Nigeria's history. But it looks like the 2023 presidential election is now competing with it. Upon all the technology deployed for the conduct of this election, they still found a way to steal the votes and rig the election in their favor. According to Osinbajo, because he is the one telling the story, it seems like an excerpt from his book, which he launched recently, seen here with Chimamanda at the book launch. Continuing, Osinbajo said that when the ACN was rigged out in Osun, Ekiti, Ondo and Edo State election, Tinubu told him to find forensic experts in the UK that would prove that the ballots were thumbprinted by a few persons. They ended up getting the services of 50 UK policemen and eventually proved that all the places where they lost the election was as a result of multiple thumbprinting of the ballots by a few individuals. Not that Tinubu and co were the first to use forensic experts. Peter Obi did it prior, before he won back his mandate. But the question remains, why does Tinubu oppose the use of forensic experts today when he himself has benefited from it in the past, although he wasn't on the ballot, but his allies, associates and his party benefited from the use of forensic experts? Obviously it is because he is a direct beneficiary of the rigging, so he's protecting himself from exposure that he rigged the election, that he didn't win.
Alright, so if that wasn't baffling enough, Governor Badaru of Jigawa State again put before us another very important detail. Sometimes, and if you watch this video, you will see how disappointed members of the APC and of course Wike, who is a friend of the APC, was with his wife in that very banquet or hosting their president-elect on that day. And you see, hear what Badaru said, and we'll come back and talk about it.
When he said he will deliver rivers to APC, I started wondering how. APC have never met 25% in rivers. How can this man pull this magic? I've been sent around the country supervising and helping election. And I know how election management is. Then as we speak and we continue to talk, I see the possibility of him keeping to that promise. But then I started wondering, I hope this man will not injure himself in the process. Of course, our mission is the bigger one. The presidency can accommodate whatever risks he took, but I still feel if he's the living president and he has senators and members of House of Representatives and also governor in PDP, how is he going to swing this?
Of course, he took a risk. Of course, you didn't know I was going to do it, and he did it anyway. Congratulations to Wike. Congratulations to your president-elect. Congratulations to the APC. If only the tribunal will allow just stay away from the election. These are valid facts already in the public place by your members that have been put up to indicting the election. This is enough. I don't talk on before. If the tribunal judges, they are serious with what to do, they listen very well, they watch videos, they just collect 1 or 2 samples in 24 hours, the election will be cancelled. It will not be on the APC, the PDP and the Labour Party to go and prove which of them actually won the election, because first the election will be cancelled. Say Bola Tinubu just rest. That's not to even forget the fact that there is a contest, or the fact that the man doesn't even deserve to contest the election in the first place. So the fear is that in a case where the election is even cancelled, for example, Bola Tinubu is disqualified. All right, so we're going to allow you watch the rest of the videos and then say this, right? And I'm very confident, very confident. I've said it before. Though it is Peter Obi and Labour Party that is in court challenging the process, the truth is it is the judiciary that is actually on trial, because the evidence are clear, very obvious, very open, and of course it's very clear. And then it only takes a blind man not to recognize the fact that this there wasn't an election anyway. And I hear that at 21 states being contested by the Labour Party, where election was being marred with various forms of irregularities, voter suppression and oppression, and several forms of rigging. Very embarrassing. Right? Watch the video and share this video. Keep your hopes high. I can tell you for free that Peter Obi is coming.
We keep talking about the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal and the chances of the Labour Party winning their mandate back, because it is actually the only hope available right now to recover the mandate. Right now, there's nothing else Nigerians can do except hope that with all the massive evidence that proves the election was rigged, that the court will accept that evidence without relying on technicality to dismiss the petition. Like in the other video where we showed that INEC will be coming to court with evidence that the Labour Party will rely on to prove they won the election. This time it is what Bola Tinubu and co did before that the legal team of Peter Obi and the Labour Party will repeat in order to stand a very high chance of winning. This is because INEC is already in contempt of court. They refuse to allow the Labour Party legal team to inspect electoral materials and give them all the materials that they require to prove their case. The reason INEC refused them access to these materials and the beavers information is obvious. They want to protect the rigging that they did, and without seeing INEC copies of result sheets and ballot papers, the judges might feel unconvinced, and you don't want to give them the room to use technicality to strike off the petition. Proving the heights that happened during the presidential election is very easy if all the parties have an open mind or if there's a level playing ground, but you can never tell with these people. Some are thinking about the country while others are thinking about their pockets. A typical example of how easy it is to spot the evidence, look at these results from Rivers State. Obviously, the one on the right is the original result that Labour Party got in that polling unit on election day. The one on the left is an example of their so-called win. Someone just wrote over the 588 votes that Labour Party scored to 0, and it was uploaded to IREV. So the evidence is massive. The judges can even research this by themselves. Anyone can access the results on IREV. There's also circumstantial evidence they can rely on. Remember, it is the Labour Party that is contesting the results as declared by INEC, so the court will expect them to prove it 100%. On INEC's side, they will just be defensive to protect the heist that they supervised and executed. That's why INEC and APC objected to the use of forensic experts by the Labour Party legal team to prove their case. So expect the court to put the burden of proof 100% on the Labour Party, even in the face of denial of electoral materials by INEC as ordered by the court. In fact, the judges should be angry at any person that disobeys their order. INEC has already done that by disobeying the order of the court. If the court lowers the standard for INEC, that will mean that they are acting as script. This will also fall in line with the laughable objections that the trio of Tinubu, APC and INEC have raised against Peter Obi's petition. They are all hoping on technicality, a situation where a judge will say, they tried but they couldn't prove their case, therefore, no, this is not what Nigeria needs right now. The next election will be worse. In this case, they even tried to conduct an election and people cast their votes. Next time, they won't allow people to vote, so you won't have evidence in the first place. Without evidence, you can't go to court. This is exactly what they did in the governorship election in Lagos State. They made sure elections didn't hold in the strongholds of the Labour Party. If they knew that Labour Party will win Lagos presidential election with such a massive landslide, they would have deployed more thugs like they did in the Guba elections to make sure that people don't vote. They learned that the fact that they blocked upload of real results while INEC announced rigged results, that it isn't the end of the election because the people they stole their votes are now in court hoping to recover their mandate. It would have been a different case if they didn't have copies of the real results. What will they present in court to prove that they actually won the election? Now to what Tinubu and co did in the past that Peter Obi's legal team will try to repeat in order to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the election was rigged, that INEC intentionally suppressed their votes, in many cases increased the votes of APC. Like in this case already shown here where APC scored 12 votes and it was increased to 170. Remember that Peter Obi and the Labour Party are contesting the results in 21 states. If they are able to prove their case and the lawful votes are counted, that will catapult Peter Obi to the first position, instead of the third position that INEC gave him. Who knows where Bola Tinubu will end after the recalculation of the lawful votes? Second, third? Anyway, let's see the story. Credit to Teddy who revealed this. It happened after the 2007 general election. Tinubu and co were in the ACN then, and this was during the Maurice Iwu era. Prior to this year's presidential election, the 2007 presidential election was referred to as the worst election in Nigeria's history. But it looks like the 2023 presidential election is now competing with it. Upon all the technology deployed for the conduct of this election, they still found a way to steal the votes and rig the election in their favor. According to Osinbajo, because he is the one telling the story, it seems like an excerpt from his book, which he launched recently, seen here with Chimamanda at the book launch. Continuing, Osinbajo said that when the ACN was rigged out in Osun, Ekiti, Ondo and Edo State election, Tinubu told him to find forensic experts in the UK that will prove that the ballots were thumbprinted by a few persons. They ended up getting the services of 50 UK policemen and eventually proved that all the places where they lost the election was as a result of multiple thumbprinting of the ballots by a few individuals. Not that Tinubu and co were the first to use forensic experts. Peter Obi did it prior, before he won back his mandate. But the question remains, why does Tinubu oppose the use of forensic experts today, when he himself has benefited from it in the past, although he wasn't on the ballot, but his allies, associates and his party benefited from the use of forensic experts? Obviously it is because he is a direct beneficiary of the rigging. So he's protecting himself from exposure that he rigged the election, that he didn't win. The worst part is that Buhari is the chief enabler in all this. Why is he pretending that the election was free and fair? Even Yaradua accepted that the election that brought him to power was rigged, and Buhari contested the same election in court. What has changed? The reason is very simple, and also why people voted for Buhari in 2015 wasn't just because of the non-performance of the PDP-led administration, but because many believe that Buhari has been criticizing corruption in government since the Obasanjo administration and during his time as the chief dictator in the military regime that he led. Many people were convinced that Buhari wouldn't stand by and watch corruption fester. Little did they know that Buhari was criticizing corruption all these years because he wasn't the one benefiting. Otherwise, how would they explain the level of corruption under this administration? Not just corruption that involves stealing of money, but open violations of the law and refusal to obey court orders. Who would have thought that Buhari would support the massive rigging that happened during the presidential election? Someone that have gone to court many times claiming the election was rigged against him, so rigging is acceptable if Buhari, his allies and the party are the beneficiaries. Many things happen, and when you compare it to what Buhari said in the past, you will see a sharp contrast. It's all make-believe. They present a different posture to make people feel they are fighting for the masses, but when they get power, they show their true colors. This is the kind of legacy that Buhari will leave behind, a legacy of rigged elections, battered economy, worsening insecurity, and so many others too numerous to mention here.
Why is this country built that things must be wasted? We spend nearly $1 billion for this mess. We could have just saved the money.
Peter Obi is spot on. Why did Buhari waste more than 300 billion naira on this election? They should have used the money to service many debts or, build infrastructure that Nigeria needs, instead of wasting it on an election that is this flawed. Just appoint someone as your successor and Nigerians will protest and go back home instead of this sham. That's why it looks like Buhari doesn't care about legacy, because he has already said that if they disturb him in Daura, that he will go to Niger Republic and leave. So whatever is happening in Nigeria, he doesn't care. He will go to another country to live and avoid all the troubles at home. All the troubles that he couldn't solve in 8 years, or rather, he didn't bother to solve them because he really didn't care. If he really cared, the people causing insecurity in his home state and other parts of Nigeria can be more powerful than Nigeria's security personnel. One might not be wrong to say that Buhari is selfish because he has continued going abroad for medical treatment when the same type of services are not available to Nigerians. And sometimes medical practitioners go on strike. He even couldn't equip the Asoro clinic to take over his medical treatment upon all the massive budget. Leaders must live by example. He's going abroad for medical treatment with huge ESTA codes when Nigerian businessmen are looking for foreign exchange to conduct their business. Buhari demarketed APC to the extent that they lost many states where he won in 2019, which makes one to wonder where Bola Tinubu got his votes from. From the Labour Party, of course. The Labour Party demystified the core northern bloc votes. Jonathan also did it in 2011, but with the southwest votes. Labour Party did it with Lagos alone, so they proved that northern bloc votes don't matter in a presidential election, especially when you have 2 or 3 candidates splitting the votes up north. Peter Obi also proved that you can run a campaign without renting crowd to attend rallies, and the number of votes you will get in a state is not determined by how massive your campaign rally was. Someone that they said they will teach lessons, who is actually learning the lessons now?